Hello everybody and welcome to a longer video. So this is going to be showing you how some EPP shapes or English paper piecing shapes go together. I've been asked on so many times, what do I put together? How do I put them together? So I'm going to base everything for this on a 3-inch hexagon because it's just easier. And yes, you can do a whole lot more. This is just a beginner tutorial and you can buy the shapes and go and have fun and do all kinds of cool stuff with them. If I say a measurement wrong, don't beat me up, please. There's a lot of measurements here, but I have written them all on there, and hopefully I won't screw it up, but I'm not going to notice till I finish this video. And if you want a pristine video and pristine shapes that haven't been used a gazillion times, by the way, Sudali shapes can be used a gazillion times, just swipe away because this is just a pretty raw video. So, what things go together and what things do not. So remember in high school when we left and we did our last class of geometry and we thought, well, I'm glad we don't have to ever have to do that again. Then you decided to English paper piece. Yep. So angles matter. Let's review. So your basic shapes, the easiest shapes in English paper piecing are going to be your hexagon, your jewel, your 6-point star, and your equilateral triangle. Now, shapes that are kind of like distant cousins. You know, they're part of the family, don't quite fit in, and these are some of them. So a pentagon, it has a 72-degree angle. A 5-point star, a 36-degree angle. A 10-point star, a 36-degree angle. All the basic shapes that I just showed you all have a 60-degree angle. Okay, so that's why these guys here kind of do their own thing. Some of them match up, some of them don't. You got to get them in certain ways. We're not focusing on that. Off you go. So here we go. Now, when you buy shapes, there is a lot of different shapes. Now, this is paper. Paper can be cut. Do not use your good rotary cutter, but you know, if you have a slightly duller blade and an extra rotary cutter, cut away. So you can make different shapes from these. So say if you're doing something with hexagons, you need some half hexagons. Cut it in half. You now have a half hexagon. Okay. The same with a 6-point star. You cut it in half, you got 2 equilateral triangles. A jewel is different. So jewels are triangle at the top and a hexagon at the bottom. Now the bottom measurements are different than the top measurements. In English paper piecing, it is measured by the longest angles. Okay, 1-inch hexagon has a longest edge. So a 1-inch hexagon has a 1-inch edge. Okay, it's not measured across or up and down, it's there. Alrighty, so a 2-inch jewel has a 2-inch equilateral triangle and a 1-inch size on the bottom, which form a half hexagon. Okay, 1-inch jewel, half hexagon. And my 1.5-inch jewel, I don't have it written on there, that is a 3/4 inch at the bottom. Okay, now say if you wanted to have a 1/2-inch hexagon but you don't have any and you have a 1-inch jewel, you chop off that top bit. Boink. There you go. Isn't that cool? It's all kind of like magic tricks. Okay, so get this out of the way. We have the basics. Let's play. We are going to work with some 1-inch shapes, sort of, kind of. So this here is a 3-inch hexagon paper. This is what I'm going to base it off of because this is easier visually. So if we take a 1-inch 6-point star and we put it in all the corners, we get this. Now, what does that look like to the average person who wants to do some English paper piecing? It looks like a hexiflower. Right, so here's a hexiflower. So 1-inch hexagons. Here's your hexiflower. Stick these in the corner. You got a 3-inch hexagon total. Now, let's play with this inner bit. If we still put our 1-inch 6-point stars in the corners, and we draw a line, we get a 1-inch half hexagon border. Look at that. And in the middle, what do we get? A 2-inch hexagon. Let's play with that 2-inch hexagon. Keeping that border, we now have our 2-inch hexagon, which is now, I've stuck 1-inch 6-point stars in the corners, and you can see a new star appearing. There's a lot of things we can do with this star. Now, one thing I didn't do with this star, because it's pretty easy, if you continue to use 1-inch 6-point hexagons, and you do them like this, you have a perfect star. Let's play with that star. You insert a 1-inch hexagon in the middle, and around it, 1-inch equilateral triangles. You get this cute one. Play with jewels. Here we go. Keeping our 6-point stars here, and half hexagon there. So this is our star in the middle. If we put a 1-inch hexagon, a 1/2-inch hexagon in the middle, and 1-inch jewels around it, we get this cute little flower. Isn't that awesome? So you can keep doing more. That's what I'm going to do as examples. Now, working with 1.5-inch shapes. This is still a 3-inch hexagon. So in the middle is a 1.5-inch hexagon. Off to the side, you can do half hexagons and do it all the way around like a frame. And these are 1.5-inch half hexagons. So this is this guy cut in half, okay? You can also break that down more. And a half hexagon can become a 1.5-inch 6-point or an equilateral triangle. And you can also, if you wanted to, if I can find my shape here, instead of doing the triangle, you put that on the triangle and over there. There you go. So you can keep putting 6-point stars all the way around. Okay, next. This is all 1.5-inch 6-point stars. Makes a star in the middle. Next one. 1.5 6-point stars. 1-inch equilateral, 1.5-inch equilateral triangles. 1.5-inch hexagon. Isn't that cute? You want to break that up even more, you can turn that into equilateral triangles as well. Using the jewel. Here we go. To make a jewel flower stand out this way, or a jewel star, some people call it. Here's your 1.5-inch 6 points in all the corners. Here's your jewels pointing up, and because the bottoms are a different size, this is a 3/4-inch hexagon in the middle. What if we flip those? We get a jewel flower where they all point inwards and connect. This is kind of a crappy tracing. And in the corners, instead of a 1.5, remember, the jewel is going to change. That's 1 inch. So there we have a whole bunch of examples and a whole bunch of explanations and a whole bunch of shapes. And I really hope that helps. Have an awesome day creating.